Here's something I want you to consider if you're interested in your health and well-being. And it's something that I've been musing now for the last few months as I've been writing the Happy Healthy You book, which is exciting and will come out next year. And what I've just been musing is, if you spend any time in the community, our communities, and just if you observe people and human nature, there's a lot of unhappiness and discontentment, dissatisfaction, disease that's out there in the world. And there's a lot of people suffering from all sorts of things. And when you look at the human character, it's actually incredibly frail when you consider how emotional humans can be. And when you start to really think about how we've developed from an evolution perspective, and if you rewind only 100 years, we lived in a very, very different way. And our genetic makeup, our predisposition is not designed for the modern world that we live in. And it's because the human character is so frail and emotional and susceptible to imbalance. The way that we live now, it's no wonder that we're seeing so many people so dissatisfied, so unhappy, so imbalanced, so diseased, and our health span is increasing, but at what cost, is I think we're missing the point a lot of the time of life. And I think one of the fundamental aspects of this separation that's essentially from nature that's occurred in the last 100 years. We were designed really simply to live within the sync of the cycles of nature, waking up with the sun, retiring with the sun as it goes down, and living in sync with nature and the seasons and cycles. And it's essentially a very slow life that our bodies were not exposed to the level of stimulation that we are now. And I think this is a big part of the discontentment and dissatisfaction is fundamentally our genetics of how we were designed to live. We're living completely the opposite way. And we're always striving for a level of comfort, but at what cost? We've just disconnected from how our bodies were meant to exist. And that creates this, I think people can't put their finger on it, is this dissatisfaction comes from living out of sync with nature and the cycles of nature. And every day we see women and men, just insomnia is a classic example of poor sleep. It's a sign that your body is out of sync, and sleep is a symptom of ill health and disease, but it's a sign that you're out of sync with your body's rhythms and nature's rhythms. And sleep is the most fundamental cycle that we have in our body, but so many other aspects of our health are linked off it and connected to it. So when you don't sleep well, then there's a cascade of functions that don't occur properly. For example, your blood sugar levels and your stress levels and your immune system. There's so many things that link off stress, but at the same sleep. But at the same time, it's the stress and all the things that are happening that's disrupting the sleep. So there's this imbalance or disconnect in our cycles, and I think that there's this sort of yearning, or this disconnect comes from this disconnect with nature, is getting our feet in the soil, getting into the ocean or into the water, hunting, or not so much hunting, but using our energy to gather calories. So there was this 100 years ago, we had to go and collect our own food, and that was our energy expenditure to get energy, right? And this fundamental aspect of human and all animals, when you disconnect that and you've just got food in the fridge, then you're disconnecting a huge part of what the human body was designed to do, which was to use its energy to collect energy. And that's a big problem, I think. And I think if you really strip everything back and take away, we're looking, when it comes to disease, we're looking at, is it an organism that's causing this, like a bacteria or virus, or is it, what imbalance is it? What is it a certain mineral deficiency, or whatever, whether you're a naturopath or a doctor, we're always looking one step back to try and find the cause of that problem. But in reality, if you take a bigger step back, it's this disconnect with how fundamentally we were meant to exist. And when I lived in India for a few years, and the happiest people I've ever seen are these Indian villages that are literally living in mud huts with, earth floors, and they're in bare feet, and they're just happy, smile. And, not that their life's perfect, but, they're living a lot closer to how the human body is meant to live. And you look at us with everything that we have, and we're just getting more and more discontent, more and more, let's say, diseased from excess. These Indian villages, their diseases from deficiencies. And this is what happened 100 years ago. But we've corrected this deficiency, but we've gone the other way to excess. So if you're interested really in your health and well-being and happiness, I urge you to try and reconnect with the way we used to live. So it's sort of slowing down. And actually my Instagram handle is JB Slow Life. I've been interested in this for a long time, because this slow life is how our body is meant. And there's a whole movement called slow life. Our bodies are designed to work this way, a lot slower, and not be constantly overstimulated, and grow your own food, spend time in nature. And you don't have to move to the countryside and go off grid, but you can take this concept I'm talking about and implement it in small ways into your life however you can. And it may just mean disconnecting from technology from 6 p.m. It may just mean waking up with the sunrise and watching the sunset. These little things reconnect us with our bodies and our cycles in nature. And this is really key. If you take nothing else away from this video, is our bodies are cyclic. We live in a cyclic world of nature. And when you reconnect your cycles with nature, there's a strong level of contentment that comes from that. And I really feel that a lot of the discontentment we feel is from a disconnection with these nature and cycles, which is fundamentally and genetically how we were designed to be. And we become so far removed. And a lot of the people we see in our communities with the biggest health problems that are really suffering, you look at the level of anxiety and depression and emotional situations, when you look at it, they're largely disconnected from nature. And one of the best things anyone can do with anxiety, for example, is take your shoes off and go for a walk in a meadow, or jump into the ocean, go for a walk on the beach. Reconnecting with earth and nature is hugely beneficial and therapeutic. And, it should be the first thing that as practitioners we should be suggesting for any sort of emotional, mental health condition, is reconnecting with nature, reconnecting with cycles. And as women, hugely connected with cycles, and your hormonal system is cyclic. So just a little musing and something I've been working with for a long time, but I thought I'd just chat to you about that. And just to put in context how, that's why we're always talking about diet and lifestyle, and what our supplements are just tools to help balance your system, help reconnect your cycles, sync your cycles together. They're all pretty much, that's the fundamental role that they play. So if you're interested in this concept, ask me any questions and I'm happy to answer them.